Hi, welcome to Balancing Your Life Radio. This is your host, Bonnie Bradshaw. I'm glad you guys are with us today. If you don't know me, again, I'm Bonnie, and we came up with Balancing Your Life Radio several years ago. We wanted to bring you content, speakers that would encourage you and just cover every aspect of our life, whether it be spiritual or physical or mental, our happiness and, seasonal sadness, family, children, disorders. I know from experience, we've been doing foster care for many years, and when you have a child with autism or a child with ADHD, you have to parent children differently. All children, whether they have a disability or not, they're gifted in different areas, and some of them are sensitive and some children are not. We cover marriage and we just wanted to bring you a platform that you could come to, even entrepreneurs as you're growing your business, expanding from what you're doing, because realistically, no matter what we do in life, we speak about our family, we speak about our faith, we speak about our business, our work, whatever the case may be, we are speakers. So we wanted to bring you a platform that would just cover everything and be enjoyable and funny. So tonight we're going to be talking about happiness. And we have the best person that we think fits the bill. And Diane and I have been friends on Facebook for a little while, and we've finally connected for this show tonight. So I'm going to read you her bio, and then we're going to get started. So she's a therapist, an educator, and a life coach. As a therapist, educator, and positive living expert, Diane has dedicated her career to helping people turn their lives around and is now on a mission to help them develop a sustainable, positive attitude that can actually turn one into an optimist literally. Through her 3 books, Creating Balance and Finding Happiness, Baby Steps, The Path from Motherhood to Career, and Mindfully Happy, Waking Up to Life, Diane has been speaking and empowering people nationwide. She is also an, I hope I pronounce this right, adjunct in in pathology, psychology at Montclair State University, where her college work includes mentoring students for personal issue advisement. As an expert in her fields of therapy, Lang has been featured in the Daily Record, Family Circle, Family Magazine, Working Mother Magazine, and Cooking Magazine, seen on New Jersey 12 TV, Good Day Connecticut, Style Connecticut, CBS TV, and Fox and Friends, among others. She has also participated in a reality-based internet show, OurPrisoner.com. And we are so happy to have you, Diane, tonight. I think what we're going to cover tonight is something that is very much needed in today's society. Happiness seems to, we see people every day. And as far as working in foster care and a life coach myself, and my husband and I co-pastor a church, we see so much sadness, and people just don't know how to get out of that circle. They focus so much on the negativity or their life, what's happened in the past, their family. And I just think that when we were talking about what the subject would be tonight, this is just a powerful subject that just needs to be discussed. So thank you so much, Diane, for being willing to come on Balancing Your Life Radio and share your knowledge and expertise with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful to be a guest on your show. So thank you.
Well, tonight we are going to talk about happiness habits. And I didn't really, until I received your information, I started reading over it, I didn't really think about happiness and habits together, or what you could really do to transport your mind from the negativity. And there was really something very simple that you could do if you were just determined enough to turn it around. So let's just take off from there.
Sure.
What made you? When did you decide that you knew you, with all your heart, you wanted to be in therapy?
Well, I've been a therapist for a while now, about 20 years, and I knew that I wanted to do it because as a child, and being that you work with foster care and, as a pastor and stuff, I didn't have a very good childhood. I came from an abusive home, and that really led me in the direction of wanting to help people, because when you start healing yourself and you start feeling better, it really causes a very deep sense of empathy towards anybody who's really struggling or suffering in life. And been through it and knowing how it feels, I just want to make sure that everybody else knows that they have the ability to be happier than where they are today, and that there are coping skills and coping strategies as well as happiness strategies that we can really retrain our brain to go from negative to positive. I don't want people to feel stuck or have a lack of control in their lives, because, there's not a lot of things we can control, but we can control ourselves and how we react to situations. So I really wanted to give people the tools. So about 20 years ago, I graduated my master's and I started, working as a therapist. And then I'd say about 5-6 years ago, I really branched into the positive psychology part of it, which is the newest science of psychology. And positive psychology was named in 1998, and I graduated from grad school in 1999 from a humanistic program, and positive psychology is based on it. So what makes me a little different is that we study happiness, resiliency, meaning, purpose, and optimism, and we're just studying the other side. And it's really fabulous because I get to give so many tools and tips to people so they can cultivate more happiness and mindfulness in their lives, which is really important.
That's right. Wow. That's wonderful. Because, most you go to a therapist, and when people think of going to a therapist, I think the visual impact of the old school thought. You go to a therapist and you lay on the couch and you start back from childhood and all the negativity. Right. And I kind of laugh when I hear that.
And it's true. When you watch any TV shows, that's what you see. You see someone laying on the couch and the therapist with their clipboard, writing down their notes, and it seems it almost seems intimidating. And it's really not that type of process. When people come to me, the first question I ask them, and it's what makes us a little different as positive psychologists, is I always say to my clients, what is the first thing I ask them is, what went well this week? What went right? Because when people really focus on their lives, we have what's called the negative bias, or I call it the negative default, and we tend to only recognize, focus, and put our attention on the negative. So even if we had this really great day, everything went well except for one little thing. Maybe your boss at work handed back a report and said, this is really good, but could you just tweak this a little? We go home and we just focus on that one thing, even if everything else in the day was perfect. But we tend to have that negative, bias. So it's really important that people realize that we don't have to stay in that negativity, that we don't have to stay focused on it, and that we can really switch our perspective to start focusing on the good things. And that's really what all the happiness habits do. They really just retrain your brain to go from negative to positive, which is really hard, especially as you were saying in the beginning when you were talking about like seasonal disorder when you were mentioning what we were going to go over today. Just the change of the weather, the change with the shorter days, feeling trapped in your house, getting less sunlight, getting less exercise from being outside. And then the other big thing in the new year is we don't really have much to look forward to. At least in the beginning of the winter, we look forward to the holidays. So even though it's cold and dark, we have the holidays to look forward to, New Year's. And then a few weeks after New Year's, we go right back into our routine. The kids are back at school. We're back in work full time. There's no major holidays until Easter, so we have a few months. Our New Year's resolutions, they didn't work, so we feel disappointed. All the bills come in from all the money we spent, which could really bring us down in the new year. So even with all of that seasonal disorder, when we prepared and planned for this by doing happiness habits and feeling happier in general, we have a stronger foundation to handle things like seasonal disorder or any kind of situation that comes our way. So these happiness habits build like a foundation. So because we know that we're going to have stressful times, right? We can't live a stressful life. Unfortunately, there will be stress and situations will always come about, but we can handle them with resiliency and see the big picture and know that nothing's permanent and that it's temporary, and then we could start seeing solutions of how to make some changes or how to deal or even accept the situation depending on what's going on. So it's really important to have that strong foundation of, feeling happy, resilient, so we can handle all of the stress that comes our way. And definitely it is right at this moment, seasonal disorder, as we were, talking about. It's been I think it's been cold throughout the whole United States, pretty much. It's not even just the East Coast where we are. I think the whole United States has been very cold. And there's been snow. I have a great friend in Charleston, and they got 5 inches of snow. South Carolina doesn't normally get that. So even, areas that aren't used to it are getting it.
I heard on the news this morning that Florida today. I don't know where, but yeah, they said somewhere in Florida. I don't know where, but that's what they said.
I am here today.
I lived in Florida when I was little, and I don't think we ever saw snow when I was, But you said you're in Florida now.
And we woke up to 37 degrees.
So that's cold.
I didn't see any snow. If we see snow, I'm going to cry. But it is very cold. So that is for sure.
We've had more snow here in Virginia than we have had in several years. And from what I've heard, not knowing if this is true or not, but not next week, but the week after, we're supposed to have another big type of blizzard come through. I'm praying not. I'm praying not.
You, because if it hits you, it's going to hit me. So I'm with you. But I know, most of the people are going through this.
Yeah, and it's cold, and I don't like cold, and I think the older people get, I know some people, like my husband, he has problems with his knees, and there's other people that have arthritis, and the cold weather really affects that, and people suffering with different pain issues.
Oh, absolutely. It definitely adds to it. And that's why you see a lot of people snowbird and coming to places like Florida or Arizona or any place for the warm weather just for their physical needs. So it's definitely a big part.
Now, the happiness habits, can we talk a little bit about each one of those?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. I printed out, Diane and I had emailed during the week, and she has a wonderful handout about happiness habits. And I've been going through this, and you would think that habits to help yourself if you're depressed or sad or if it's seasonal or whatever you're going through in life, we tend to focus on the negativity of everything. It seems that the negative overpowers the positive. But in Diane's handout, there are really simple ways that if we continually stay focused on what she has developed here, it would help us a lot. And I know a lot of people who tend to, like I said, through foster care and through ministry, and I kind of grew up like you, Diane, and I guess why I'm so compassionate to other people and protecting other people. I've always been that way. They called me Mama Bonnie since I was little. And I just didn't want to see anybody else have to experience or grow up in what I, felt or what I had gone through, and I could relate to a lot of different people, and that I had seen, the kids that I went to school with and families that lived around me, it was something that I could just see. I could pick up on right away. And it was just in my DNA to want to protect others. So the habits here, I think they're wonderful. So number one, you said every day do a gratitude check. Can you explain that to us?
Sure. So gratitude to me is one of the most important tools that we have for happiness. So gratitude, and it's become so popular, being that Oprah talks about it, people do gratitude journals. It's become very popular, but there's so much about gratitude. So to think about gratitude, the first thing is, one, gratitude is a form of mindfulness. So you get all the benefits of meditation and mindfulness, like reducing stress, sleeping better, reducing chronic pain, lowering blood pressure. We get all these benefits from just doing gratitude. So right there in the physical side, you could see it. The other part about gratitude is the most effective tool that we have to retrain your brain to go from negative to positive. So it's a really important tool because you're getting like a twofer. You're getting the mindfulness, the de-stressing, and what you're doing is starting to shift your perspective, because gratitude, what it does is it actually allows you to put more attention and focus on the things that are making your life good, the things that you're blessed, the little small things that make us happy that we tend to ignore and push aside because we're too busy in life to pay attention to. So when you start doing gratitude, you'll just start noticing little shifts in your life where things are really starting to shift because you're noticing and putting your attention on the good in life instead of the negative. So what I have my clients do is every day I have them ask themselves, and they can do it in a few different ways. You can write it as a gratitude journal. You can say it out loud. You could even say it in the mirror, or you could even just think it to yourself. So it doesn't matter how you do it. But what you want to ask yourself every day is, what are 2 to 3 things I am grateful for that happened today? And the important part is to really think about what has happened for you today. Because when people just start doing gratitude in general, they start doing the same things over and over. And you'll hear people say, I'm grateful for my life, I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful for my family. And not that that isn't good. Of course it is. But if we start saying the same things over and over, it loses value. It doesn't have any meaning to us anymore. So it's important that we do it every day and look through our day and go, what am I really blessed about today? What am I really grateful for? Because when you start searching through your day, you start realizing the little things. I mean, you could be grateful because you literally had a great hair day. It could be that simple. It could be that you had the best cup of coffee. You went to Starbucks, and for some reason, it was just so great. You could be grateful because you didn't hit traffic for some reason, or grateful because it's so sunny today after 3 days of snow and, clouds. It doesn't really matter. It's the little things that really make a shift in how we feel. And happiness is really a perspective. It's how you view things. It's what you put your focus and your attention on. So the gratitude really gradually starts making this shift in you. So what I have my clients do is every night, and I say at night because, again, because gratitude is a form of mindfulness, it helps people sleep. And also the other thing is at night, if you've noticed, for a lot of people, we're so busy all day, and we're so busy and we have so much going on that we don't really concentrate much on what we're thinking or feeling. But if you ever notice, for a lot of people, when they shut the TV off, they say goodnight to their families, and they're sitting in bed in the quiet and the dark, that negative loop comes up, that negative, down cycle that we have of, I should have done this, I could have done that, why didn't I do that, what's wrong with me, I'm such an idiot. And instead of focusing on that and staying there, I want people to start doing their gratitude. So if you do it at night, you get that benefits of, mindfulness. You can start switching that thought process at night, that negative loop that goes off. And instead, you could start going, what am I grateful for that happened today? Now, you could even just do it in bed with the lights off, just saying it to yourself or thinking it in your head and still getting all the benefits. I have my clients write it down and send it to me in an email so they're just accountable, because that's part of, coaching and counseling is we want people to be responsible and accountable and make it a habit. But you can do it however you want, and it's really important. And just so people know, to change a habit, break a habit, form a new habit, because it's really important for people, especially with all the New Year's resolutions and people want instant gratification. Just so you know, it takes 2.5 to 3 months. And most people think that it takes like the 21 days that you read about. It takes a full 2.5 to 3 months to really form a habit, break a habit, for something to become on autopilot, that you don't have to put in all this extra effort. In a month, you start getting some side effects of changing a habit. You start feeling a little better. But for it to really become an autopilot habit, a lifestyle change, you got to give it 2.5 to 3 months to do it. So you'll notice that shift. And I know for me, when I started doing gratitude years ago, I started doing it, every day. And somewhere around the 3-month mark, I was on my way to work at the college to go teach a class, and there was so much traffic. It's early in the morning. It was a snowy day, and there was an accident up ahead, and I was just stuck in traffic. And I had that 30-second road rage feel from being stuck in traffic, especially if you live in the New York, New Jersey area. I'm sure Virginia's the same way. You know how we feel.
Oh.
And within 30 seconds, I got a little angry, and then all of a sudden, gratitude just kicked in on autopilot. And it was just like, okay, but you know what? You're safe. You're not the one in the accident. You're in your car. You're safe. You have your hot coffee. You have your phone to call your job. Everything's fine. And that shift happened all on its own automatically. And it was like, wow, like the aha moment hit, because I teach gratitude all the time. I use it with my clients. But when I first started doing it for myself, I was like, oh, my God, just look at that switch. I didn't even have to force the gratitude. It just shifted on its own. And it was somewhere around the 3-month mark. So please, with doing any type of change, whether it's a diet or one of these, happiness habits, give yourself that 2.5, 3 months. And it's an individual thing. Some people take a little shorter. Some people take a little longer. But really, give yourself, have a little patience. But you will have a shift, and you will have a change of perspective. So that's one of the first habits that's so impactful, and I've seen it really help so many clients. It's been such a wonderful tool. And the thing about it is, it's free, and it doesn't take a lot of time. So, as parents, I'm a parent as well. As a mom, and we work, we have so much going on, right? We're always so busy, and all my clients are always like, I don't have any more money to spend, and I can't change my schedule. These happiness habits, you don't have to do either of it. Doing it at night, whether you're writing it or say it in your head, takes what, 2 minutes to think to yourself, what am I grateful for? It's not, and It's not going to cost you a dime. And if you can't do it at night, you could do it whenever you feel like. You could do it driving in the morning and, on your way to work. It doesn't matter when. It's just really making it a habit of doing it. And it starts shifting how you look at things and what you look at and what you notice. So it's really an important tool. So that would be the first one that I recommend, is getting into that gratitude check.
When you were talking about being stuck in traffic, it hit me years ago when I was younger. I'm 55 now, but when I was younger, I remember getting so upset, especially if I couldn't find my keys or I had to stop and get gas. I didn't realize, it was almost on E, and it would just frustrate me so bad. And then I really began to think, because one of the wrecks was a couple of minutes up the road. And I just thought about it. If I would have had my keys in my hand and I didn't need gas, I could have been the one in that wreck. And I just pray and that's just the spiritual side of me. Whenever I see an ambulance take off or a police car or whatever, I just start praying for that person and their family and that sort of thing. But I learned real quick that, there's reasons for everything, and to be thankful that, maybe there's a reason why I can't find my keys this morning, or I had to stop and get gas or whatever, and be grateful for maybe you're not even going to see an accident, but there's a reason why I feel, that you're lagging behind time. But that's just me.
No, I agree with you. There is a reason for everything. And what I love about gratitude's very spiritual. So it's another way, some people love to pray, but I have a lot of clients who don't have a religious foundation per se, but they're very spiritual,
Right.
and you can get those benefits from gratitude, even if you feel that you don't belong to a church or a temple.
Right.
You can still have it. It's such a spiritual connection. So you can even mix your prayer with gratitude. I mean, they're both so beneficial.
Right.
So thank you for bringing that up. It's another great way to get that benefit.
So you said every day write or say 3 things you like about yourself. I want to talk about that. One, we have a support group that we hold, and one of the exercises that we did was we had in the church that we had been in, there was a huge mirror. I think this mirror is probably 6 foot tall and about 3 foot wide. But we set the mirror up, and each one of us would stand in front of the mirror, and we would say a couple of things that we liked about ourselves. And we have one lady, I just love her to death, and I had no idea she was going to react the way she did, but she just started bawling, crying, and this woman is the sweetest person, the most giving, loving, loyal person. There's so many things that I could say positive about her, but she cried. She just started crying, and it was about 15 minutes. She couldn't think of anything positive to say about herself. And so we kind of stepped in, and I don't know about the, psychology, the therapist side of this, but we just stepped in and we helped her to see the things that we saw in her. But I think that was, and she told me that was probably the hardest thing that she'd ever gone through in her life. But every day write or say 3 things that you like about yourself. I want to talk about that, and then on the flip side of that, if it's something that you're very negative about yourself and you have a real hard time trying to find something positive, where do you go from there?
Well, there's a few things. The first one you were talking about, your example with, the lady you were talking about, we have clients do very similar work where they look in a mirror and they have to just say, I love you, to themselves. And it is one of the hardest things that people struggle with, because our biggest fear in life, across the board, I mean, we joke and always say it's public speaking or heights, but the real biggest fear that we have is that we're not worthy, that we're not lovable, that we're not enough. So for most people, to look in the mirror and to be honestly saying, I love you for who you are, truly accepting your authentic self, loving yourself, is something that most people don't do. Most people struggle with real deep insecurities, lack of self. So all of that, looking in the mirror, just really highlights to people that what they're really feeling about themselves. So it's really hard. So if you look in the mirror and try to say, I love you, or try to say, positive things to yourself, a lot of people can't do it, or it makes them really hysterical cry. It makes some people angry because they realize how much they don't like about themselves. So you can expect, it's kind of like if you go into counseling. When people first come into counseling, I always say, you're going to hit a rock bottom before you work your way up. Because when you go into counseling, you start hitting the deep wounds, because you start, going through the grieving process, the forgiveness process, the healing. And that brings you into that black past, where the black cloud was covering you and you don't feel there's any light. And you have to feel to heal. So you have to go through all of that to get to the light. So just remember that. So even if you look in the mirror or you try to write a list of things that you like about yourself or love about yourself, it's going to be tough. When we ask people to write a list of 10 things they like about themselves, most people can't do it. Or if we say, could you write a list of 10 priorities, most people don't put themselves on the list, especially women. Women will put themselves last on the list. I've had women say to me, am I even allowed to be a priority? There's not enough room for me. I got my boss, I got my family, I got my kids. They don't even think of themselves. So if you're not putting yourself as a priority and you're not giving yourself the self-care you need, then you're definitely not showing yourself love. So it's definitely a hard thing. And for a lot of people, saying to themselves, what are 2 to 3 things I like, is tough. So what I actually like, and I have it both ways on that handout just so people can pick and choose, but what I've noticed comes a little easier to some of my clients is asking themselves, what 2 to 3 things did I do well today? Because that's a little easier to do. So you can look through your day and say, you know, what I'm grateful for is different than what I did well. So maybe I'm grateful that I wasn't part of that accident and I'm safe. What I did well was that I reacted well and I didn't get upset and get road rage that I was stuck in traffic. So they're two different things. So when I have clients do them together at night, so they'll ask themselves, what are 2 to 3 things they're grateful for? And then they'll say, what are 2 to 3 things I did well today? And it could be really simple. It could be, oh, I made such a healthy choice. Instead of that, you know, candy bar, I had an apple. It could be as simple as, oh, my God, I said no, which is so hard for women, right? We tend to always say yes even when we mean no. So maybe you did say no. Maybe you did a self-care act and you went and got yourself a cup of coffee today, even if it made you 5 minutes late, but you did something for you. Whatever it is, it could be the smallest things. Again, it's not these big, huge things. But when we start noticing what we did well and what we're grateful for, both of those retrain your brain. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to shift your perspective by retraining your brain. So even if you can't get out, I love myself or what I love about myself, you can still find things in your day that you did well. And it might have been, again, you know what? I said thank you when someone gave me a compliment. And most of us women don't do that. You know, and
that's
men
right.
too. I don't mean to exclude men because men can feel this way too. But you know, it could be the simple, smallest things, but we could all see things we did well. Maybe we helped somebody today. We gave somebody a smile, and it made their day better. The littlest things. So when you start there, after a few months of doing it, then you start building your self-confidence, you know, your self-esteem and your confidence. So start small. Start with, what did I do well today? And then maybe a few weeks or a few months into it, you can shift it to, what do I like about myself? And it might have been for a few weeks you started doing self-care, and then you just go, you know what, I really do kind of like myself, and that's why I'm doing the self-care. And then you can work your way up into different things. Be patient. Give it time. You know, when we're so insecure or we don't like ourselves, it took us years to get there. And, you know, especially if you had a tough childhood, you know, you're born liking yourself. But it's years of hearing you're no good or you're stupid or you're not worthy or I wish I didn't have you, or maybe it's from a bad relationship or bullying, whatever it is. It took years, you know, or even months or years to get to a point of not liking yourself. It's going to take time to build up the self-esteem in the same way. So you have to have the patience, but you have to feel the pain and feel what you're feeling, your true emotions, the anger, the hurt, the sadness, all of that. You have to feel it to get to the other side to heal. So don't ignore those feelings, but at the same time really start working with, what am I doing well? So those two together are really great ways to start building your esteem and shifting your perspective and retraining your brain. It's a great starting tool.
Number 3, you said at the end of the day, write or say 3 things that were positive in your day. It could be as simple as weather, there's no judgment, and make sure that you say different things each day if you can.
Yeah, and that goes along. Those are just the different ways of saying it. So what did I do well? What did I like about myself? What are some positives? You can say them. I just write them in different ways because everybody feels differently about how they want to say it. And I've learned that being a therapist for 20 years, you know, some clients feel more comfortable with what I did well because it's more concrete, and they could even say things at work, well, I wrote a great report, you know, whatever it is. Some people like it better when they look at the positive of the day because that creates a bigger picture of the day. It really depends where you are in your life and what you feel comfortable doing. And that's really important because if you're not comfortable doing something, then you'll stop doing it. So you really, you know, you can pick any of those words or any of those ways or all of them, but just really stick with it for, remember, at least 2.5, 3 months, and then you'll start noticing that shift. So any of all of those are great, depending on what you like.
Number 4, I love, and I'll tell you a little short story about this, random acts of kindness. I was in the drive-through at Chick-fil-A, and just out of the blue, the person in front of me paid for my order. And it blew me away because nobody had ever done that before. So, and it just made me want to pay for the people behind me, so I wound up paying for them, and I don't know how it went from there. But I thought it really lifted my day. I was on my way to court for one of our foster children, and we didn't know which way this particular situation was going to go, so my mind was really focused on that. And then when this person just happened to do that, I mean, it just put a smile on my face and just really made me feel good.
It does. You know, one of the things about random acts of kindness or pay it forward, however you want to call it, is every time you do a random act of kindness for somebody, you get this boost of happiness that lasts 24 to 72 hours. But the other part is the person you did it for, like the person who did it for you at Chick-fil-A, they get a boost of happiness for 24 to 72 hours. So it's a win-win because both parties get this boost of happiness. And the other part about random acts of kindness, which is so great, is that it boosts our confidence levels. So you can even have kids do random acts of kindness. When my daughter was, I think she was almost 4, what I had her do is every time she outgrew her clothes or her toys, her books, there was time to move on to new things, I would make her take all her stuff that she didn't want anymore, pack them in bags, and we'd give them to people who needed them, whether it was friends or family, or it was dropping it off at the library, schools, or it was dropping it off at the local church. But she always paid it forward, and you can teach kids that so young. And every time she did it, not only did it boost her happiness, but you could see it boosting her self-esteem. So it's a really important tool. And what we know is gratitude and random acts of kindness are the two top happiness habits. They really shift our happiness. So one of the exercises for positive psychology, is that we have people just smile at 10 random people a day. That's all you need to do is just smile. And why that's important is because every time you smile, you produce endorphins. So that's the chemical that makes us feel good, the happy chemical. So just by smiling, even if you're faking it, we can produce a good feeling. But smiling is contagious. So if I smile at somebody, it actually makes them smile a little, which could literally shift their whole day. So if you're thinking, how can I do random act of kindness? What can I do? Again, I don't want to spend money because not everybody has the money to spend, and that's okay. And, you know, I can't change my schedule. I have to go to work or school or I'm a stay-at-home mom or whatever it is. All you need to do is smile at 10 people a day. If it's a little less, it's a little more. If you want to up it, say, hi, how are you? That is a great way to just make a difference in everybody's day. And it's really true. Do you ever have a bad day but somebody smiles at you, a real, true smile? It makes you smile.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you don't want to, even if you're fighting it and you're like, I'm not in a good mood, it forces you to do the same thing. And something to think about, hugging, cuddling, spooning, smiling, laughing, they all produce endorphins, that good feel chemical, the same one you get when you exercise. And that's why they say exercising makes you feel good. So just by smiling and laughing and hugging, cuddling, all those simple things that we could do with our family and friends and our significant others could really just up our happiness. So really just try to get out there and smile more. Tell people that you love them, which is also part of gratitude, you know, giving the thanks to other people. It really shifts our happiness and it raises our self-esteem. So it's a win-win for everybody involved. And that's just an amazing, great way to spread the happiness because moods and emotions are contagious.
Yeah, I mean, I love the random acts of kindness. And even something as, like you said, as small as just smiling at somebody. When people smile at me, you know, it makes me want to smile back, and it just kind of lifts. No matter what mood I'm in at the time, it just kind of gives me that moment of just happiness and joy. So the next one you talk about is meditation. That's something that I don't think I have ever done, so I really want to talk about that.
So meditation, so a few things. Meditation is the intentional practice of mindfulness. So mindfulness is an amazing tool we have to de-stress, to reduce chronic pain, to lower blood pressure. It's just an amazing tool. And to be mindful really means that you're in the moment, that you're aware of everything that's going on, you're awake, you're observing life, you're in your conscious mind. You're not on autopilot because most of the time we spend most of our day on autopilot. Think of it this way. Do you ever, if you know, maybe you go to church or work, someplace that you go to all the time, when you drive home or you're driving home from work, sometimes you get home and you go, wow, I don't even remember the ride home. Did I just pass that store?
I do that all the time.
Right, we do that. And it's not because we're, bad drivers. It's because we zone out and we become like subconscious. So when we're mindful, we're aware and awake to everything, and we're observing everything, but it's without judgment. So it's bringing your attention to the experiences that are occurring at the moment, at the time. And by doing that, it really brings us into the present moment. And we're our happiest when we're in the present moment. Because think about it this way. When we're in the past, we get stuck in the past and everything we could have done, and we hold on to all this baggage. When we think about the future, we have what's called anticipatory anxiety, where we're always worrying what if. But when we're in the moment, we're fine. So we want to be in the moment as much as we can, and we want to be as mindful. And mindful really means slowing down. So slowing down in everything you do, reducing multitasking, that's a big one. So you could be mindful in so many ways. Now, meditation is the intentional practice of mindfulness. Now, meditation could be done in so many different ways, but the easiest way I can suggest for people who've never meditated, because you brought that up, is that if you go on YouTube, just to use as an example, and there's apps that do this as well, or you can get a CD if you want, but if you go on YouTube and you just click in guided meditations, millions of them will come up. And you can actually, all you need is headphones. You can lay down, or you could be sitting up, and you just put the headphones in and listen to a meditation, and it'll bring you into that place without putting a lot of work into it. Because what I hear from most of my clients is, I can't meditate. I can't clear my mind. And the truth is, you don't really ever fully clear your mind. We have about 60,000 thoughts a day. It's impossible to totally clear your mind. But what meditation does is it brings the thoughts to the back of your brain that you're not focusing, and you can kind of clear your head to refresh and refuel and relax a little. And it brings us into the conscious moment. So for everybody who's listening who really would love to try a meditation but has never done it or doesn't know how or has some anxiety about doing it, just do that. Get a pair of headphones, go on YouTube, click in guided meditations, and listen. And if you don't want to listen to a guided meditation, you can pick nature sounds. So you can go on YouTube and pick like a waterfall or rain falling or the beach and thunderstorms, whatever it is that you like. And just listening to that will do it for you. It will put you into a state of peace. And all we need, 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, a day, and we'll already start getting the benefits. If you can work your way up to longer, that's great. But again, being that we're so busy with work and life and balancing everything, even if you could just get a few minutes a day, you can really reap the benefits of it. It's a really amazing tool, and it's available to everyone. And there's so many other different ways, too. I mean, you can mindfully eat, and what that means is, let's say you're sitting down for breakfast. It means you're just doing one thing at a time. So I'm just going to eat breakfast. I'm not going to watch TV. I'm not going to be on the phone. I'm not going to be on my computer. I'm just going to eat. I'm going to look at my plate and look at all the food, and I'm going to breathe in the aromas and the smells, and I'm going to notice all the pretty colors, the yellow from the eggs, the brown from the toast. I'm going to notice everything on my plate, and then I'm going to take one bite at a time, and I'm going to really chew it until it's done. I'm not going to eat to be fast or speak at the same time. I'm not multitasking. And I'm going to really enjoy the food. And what happens is when we slow down and we eat mindfully, we get full faster because most of us eat so fast we don't know when we're full. We have less digestion problems because we give our bodies the time to digest, and we end up losing some weight because we're eating slow and we feel when our bodies are full. And less problems with gas or eating so fast that we're breathing in too much that causes burping, acid reflux. It reduces so much just by slowing down and doing one thing at a time. So if you want to try to add some mindfulness into your life, reduce your multitasking, slow down your eating, your driving, and really pay attention and be in the moment. And it will make a big difference in your life, and it will help reduce stress.
I'm so glad we have you on tonight. I've asked my husband a million times, what are you thinking? And he'll say, nothing. And I told him, I said, I just don't understand that because I can be thinking of three, 4 things at a time. And for you to just not be thinking about anything, I don't get it. But like my happy place is, I'm glad you said the beach. It's just the sound of the waves. And I wrote my first book. It took me 4 years. And I knew I would never, ever get that book done until I went to my happy place. So I wound up renting a hotel room overlooking the beach just to hear the ocean. And I stayed up all night. It was, every time I looked at my watch, it was like an hour later, and it just seemed like it had been 5 minutes. And I finished that book in less than 12 hours.
Wow.
So just going to my happy place.
And it's important that you know your happy place, too. So if you're trying meditation and you don't know where it is, try so many different meditations. There's so many different ways. So I don't want people to go, oh, I didn't like those sounds, or I don't like that person's voice. It could be anything. So, again, you know, if it's the beach, I'm with you. I love the beach. But for some people, it's thunderstorms. For others, they just love the sound of rain. Some love the sounds of just outside, like the crickets and stuff. It really doesn't matter, and it's okay. Or if you rather hear somebody's voice guiding you through the meditation, or you like certain music that they have, it's fine. And there's so many great ones on there to try. So don't give up if you don't like one. Try a different one. But really just give the effort of just giving it a try. And the guided are great. And if you don't want to use a computer, you can do an app on your cell phone if that's easier, because you're doing it more mobilely when you're out. Or you can get a DVD. Not a DVD, I'm sorry, a CD. All different meditations. So there's many different avenues to try. And just actually sitting outside in nature can put you in a state of mindfulness. So not now because the weather's cold, unless you're, don't live on this East Coast. So if you're in California or someplace, you can just sit outside in nature and just pay attention to the sounds, the birds, the trees swaying in the wind, the clouds moving. That will do the same thing as well. So you don't even need to listen. Or if you have a fireplace, because we're cold, just staring at the fire will do it for you. Or paying attention to the crackling sounds. So there's many different ways of doing it. It's just focusing on something that relaxes you. So in the winter, the fireplace. In the summer, the beach.
That's right. All right, now you've got number 6. Are your basic needs met? I know so many people that we deal with on a regular basis, and their basic needs aren't met. So there's, different organizations and nonprofits that reach out and try to help them. But let's talk about the basic needs and the happiness, full of energy.
So are your basic needs met is a really important question because, again, especially as women, we don't take care of ourselves. And what happens is if your physical basic needs aren't met, then emotionally and spiritually you're not going to feel your best. You're not going to be balanced. You're going to feel unmotivated, fatigued, lack of focus, concentration. So what I have my clients do is I have them keep a journal, kind of like a food journal or a food diary, and I call it the Journal of Truth. And what they do is they keep a journal, and for 1 week you're keeping track of 4 things. And I don't want you to make any changes the first week. I just want you to become self-aware of what's lacking in your life. So you're keeping track of 4 things. The first one is sleep. So you want to ask yourself, how much sleep am I getting? And, we need 7 to 8 hours, but the normal American only gets 4 to 6. And what happens is after 2 to 3 days of getting 6 hours or less of sleep, it really affects us cognitively. Our thought process, our focus, our tension, our memory, our moods, our irritability, they're all completely off. So you want to keep track of your sleep. Second one is how much water are you drinking? And when we mean water, we mean really water, not coffee, not tea, not soda, just water, because we don't live on water-soluble diets, and we don't drink enough water, and that makes us very dehydrated, that we feel fatigued both mentally, physically, and emotionally. And a lot of people who don't drink enough water will get those afternoon blues, somewhere around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you start feeling fatigued and tired. And we usually go for a caffeinated beverage. It happens to so many people, right? You go either for like a caffeinated beverage or a sugary, like vending machine kind of treat to give yourself some energy. But the truth is, for most people, they're lacking water. So what I have my clients do is after lunch, start sipping on water, that you can drink 2 full glasses or water bottles of water in the afternoon. And if you don't like plain water, you can put a lemon or a lime in it or some fruit, but keep it natural. But when you do that, when you add 2 full glasses of water or bottles, within 2 weeks you'll see your energy levels change. And it's free, so grab as much water as you can. The third one is exercise. And exercise is so important because every time we exercise, we produce that endorphins that we talked about, that happy chemical, while reducing our stress hormone cortisol, all at the same time. And that's why when people work out, they get that, the runner's high, they call it. But the other part about walking, I'm just going to even stick with walking because that's simple and it's easy and you don't need equipment, you don't need to be part of a gym. But if we just walk, walking is one of the scientifically best ways to create mindfulness where we clear our heads. And I know this for me because I go walking almost every day. And when I walk, it totally clears my head. I don't even have to try, and I do meditate all the time, but it's a great way of getting mindfulness. So exercise gives you the benefits of mindfulness, meditation, and it also gives you all the benefits of de-stressing and cardio. So the thing is, if you can just walk 4 times a week at 20 minutes or 20 to 30 minutes each time, it's equivalent to an anti-anxiety pill. So we can really de-stress just by walking. So, you want to ask yourself, did I exercise today? And the last one is, what did I eat and when? And that's really important too because, one, we need to pay attention to when we eat because especially when we're working, we have families, we can go all day without food and then we come home and we're famished and we have like that Snickers commercial, the hungry and the angry mixed together, the hangry, and we don't want to get that. You want to make sure, you've seen those commercials where they, freak out. So you want to make sure you're eating every 3 or 4 hours, even if it's just cheese and crackers or an apple or banana with peanut butter, something to make sure that you're okay. So you want to make sure you're eating, so you want to write down the hours, and then you want to write down what you're eating. Because, and again, I'm just talking for emotional and mental health because I'm not a personal trainer. But what we know is that you want to stay away from 2 things. You want to really learn to read your labels. And when you're reading your labels, if the first 2 to 3 ingredients are sugar, fake sugar, or any form of sugar, you want to stay away from it. Sugar is like caffeine. It brings you up and down. It's like a roller coaster ride of moods and emotions and fatigue all day. The other thing you want to think about is when you're reading your labels is if you can't pronounce everything in it, then it's genetically modified. And we want to stay as real and natural as we can. Real food, the better we are mentally, emotionally, and physically. So for 1 week, just pay attention. What did I eat today? When? How much exercise did I get or did I exercise? How much sleep did I get? And how much water did I drink? At the end of the week, you can look at this journal and see what's missing from your life. And I have to say, I've had so many clients come to me and say, I just feel so blah, I'm unmotivated, unenthusiastic about life. They do what they need to do, but they just don't feel like an oomph for life. And when they did this journal and they saw what their basic needs were, most of them didn't have their basic needs met. And when they start working on having that physical foundation of their basic needs, most of them feel 40 to 50% better after a few months just from that. Because I don't know about you, Bonnie, but for me, if I don't sleep well for 2 to 3 days, it affects everything. So now I didn't sleep well, so now I'm not eating well. I'm too tired to exercise. I'm drinking too much caffeine instead of water.
And I'm grumpy.
Right. Snappy, irritable. I can't focus. I can't concentrate. Just think of that. So it's really important to start off, too, to make sure your basic needs are met. Very important.
Now, right now, I want to make sure that everybody knows where to purchase your book and how to get in touch with you on your website, social media, and then I want to kind of touch base for a few minutes about your books.
Sure. So you can reach me at my website, which is DL Counseling, and on there is you can sign up for my newsletter, which is a weekly free happiness tips newsletter. And as a bonus, you'll get a free ebook on cultivating happiness with some of these tips. So please reach out to me and my email is also on my website. So again, if you just go to DL Counseling, you can find all my information there. And my books can be found on Amazon, or you can find my new book, my latest book, which is called Mindfully Happy, Waking Up to Life, at Amazon, or the publisher, which is santiapublishing.com, which again is on my website. So please come and check me out or email me or sign up for my newsletter. I would love to hear from you.
Your book title, Mindfully Happy, Waking Up to Life. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because that title just really grabbed me.
Thank you. You know what? When I was like you, it took me years to write my third book. I couldn't figure it out. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to really focus on. I knew I wanted it to be happiness, but I wanted it to be more than that. And the two biggest things that make us happy is mindfulness, because it de-stresses us, it brings us in the moment, and then happiness. And the connection of the two really wake you up to life, because most of us are not our full authentic selves. We're going through life on autopilot, or we're living somebody else's life because we're supposed to do that. It's what society says. It's what our parents said. We're too afraid. And I want people to really be awake and be authentic. And that really makes for a whole shift in their life. So when I put the two together, I was like, mindfully happy. And then I'm like, oh, my God, yeah, waking up to life. Because it's funny how we can go through years and years of life, and then something can really just switch, even a trauma or a tragedy that forces you to make a change, and it's like a light bulb went off, and it's a whole new world. So I'm hoping to do that without people having to hit a trauma or a tragedy or, a bad situation. I want us to be able to make those shifts whenever we want to, or just knowing, hey, you know what, I do want to be a little happier. I do want to be a little more mindful. Or I want to teach my kids that. As a positive parent, the thing we know is kids learn through observation, role modeling, imitation. So whatever you choose to do, they follow. So if you're happier, they're going to be happier. If you're a happier mom or dad, they're going to feel it. If you're more mindful, they're going to be more mindful because they're learning from you. And kids learn from birth till puberty through that imitation, role modeling, and observation. So it's really important, not just for your own happiness, but what do you want to pass down? What kind of role model do you want to be for your kids?
That's right. I've seen that a million times. Your book, Baby Steps, The Path from Motherhood to Career, that's really hard for a lot of people. I remember, my daughter's 31 right now, but I remember after giving birth and being home for 8 weeks with her, going back to work was the hardest thing that I had ever done, and I was so sad for weeks just having to leave her. And with the babysitter calling and telling me, oh, she took her first step and I wasn't there and that sort of thing. But that kind of grabbed me too. Motherhood to career. When do you know to make that step?
Honestly, it's a personal decision. And what I used to tell my clients is, unless you have to go back financially or for health benefits where you don't have an option, if you do have an option, when to go back is really based on what's going to make you the best mom and parent you could be. So if going back to work is going to make you a better person because you're happier, which will make you a better mom, then you should go back to work. If it's not going to improve your life or make it better, then you want to think about what your choice is. And for a lot of women, what I've noticed, unless, again, they have to go back to work for financial or benefits, a lot of women really seem to thrive when they can work part-time, when they can have both, where they can spend a lot of time with their kids, but they can also have that outside work environment, whether it's for social reasons or whether it's for academic, they want to use what they learned in school or their professional experience, whatever the reasoning is. It seems to be a happy medium for a majority of women, but it is such an individual decision. Like for me, when I had my daughter, I knew I was going to go back to work after the 3 or 4 months, and not because I had to, but because I knew I wanted to. It makes me a better person. I love what I do, and if I'm not doing it, I feel like something's missing in my life. It causes my flow. It brings me joy, and I wanted to be a working mom, and I wanted my daughter to see that as well. So if she makes that choice, if she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, great. If she wants to work, that's great too. I wanted her to know that all those opportunities are there. But for me, that was my choice. It's a personal choice because I knew I'd be a better mom by being a working mom. And as a college professor at the time, I was able to put my work into like 3 full days. and be home 2 days during the week plus weekends. So I thought it was a really nice mix. But if I stayed home, I wouldn't be happy. So it's really asking yourself, what will make me a better mom, a better parent, what will bring me happiness? Unless, again, you don't have that option. And some people don't, and if you need to go to work and for whatever the reason, financial or benefits, there's no reason to feel guilty about it because you can still be a great parent, mom or dad, even working. So I don't want people to feel that the decision will affect their child. If you're happy, you'll have happy kids. You can be a great parent whether you work or you stay at home.
That's right. All right, everybody. So make sure you go to dlcounseling.com and check Diane out. She has all the information about her books and the newsletter. I think I'm already signed up for that. I've gotten it twice, and it's really good. So I really encourage you guys to do that. And Diane, I'm so glad that you brought up about meditation. That's something I've never done before, but I'm going to make sure I start that tomorrow.
Well, let me know what happens. I want to hear. And
I
thank
will.
you so much for having me on at your show. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you, Diane. All right, guys, until next week, have a blessed week, and I look forward to seeing you guys here, and the show will be uploaded later on this evening, so make sure you share it on your Facebook pages, whatever social media you're on, and pass it along to your friends because you never know when you pass it along, who will need it, because it'll wind up in the hands of the people that will benefit from it. So God bless you guys. Have a good week. Bye-bye.